Sailor Tarot Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader. Known as the Nurturing Reader at New Jersey street fairs, you can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text 732-314-0777 to schedule your reading today.
Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's coverage of the VSPEED 180 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway here in Hampton, Georgia. It's good to be with you here tonight for race number 6 of the BTDY Chase for the Cup. After a while, an eventful race weekend at Dover last Tuesday, it has now turned our attention to the most unpredictable track in this chase, and it is here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm going to bring you into the booth, everybody. I'm Alec Martinez, and joining me tonight, my co-producer and co-commentator Logan Thurkel. Logan, great to be with you here. It's Atlanta, it's fast, it's high banked, and it's going to be wearing out. These cars are going to be a handful tonight in the pack situations.
Atlanta always proves to be a challenge, Alec. This racetrack has gone through just such a massive overhaul that now it races like a super speedway. We have some tire wear, unlike what we see at a typical super speedway. So that's going to throw a challenge at the drivers. Watch out for that right rear tire and the wear and tear that you're going to see there. But it is high speed, high bank, high action all night long.
It is. Let's take a look at our track facts here, and located in Hampton, Georgia. Just over a mile and a half here. 24 degrees of bankings in the turns. Actually gone up, I believe, to 28 to mimic Daytona's bankings, and of course the quad oval on the front stretch. That's always going to play an interesting role. This track, very unique, was a normal mile and a half at 24 degrees of banking. Go to our Google Earth here, and we'll be able to see really what the difference of change has been. And we'll look here. This is the old version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. You can see the turns not as banked, and now when you go over and see that when we go to the racetrack, this track is now all black, perfectly repaved and reconfigured to what the super speedway racing is going to be. So this is going to be a very, very crazy race in my opinion, and I'm looking forward to being able to see this.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking a quick look into our points here before we get into the grid, Jeff Wright with a 42-point lead on the season with those 10 wins. It has been a remarkable season for the driver of the 48, followed up by Brody Hayes. That win last week closes the gap for him. got just a 42-point gap. Keith Mayato right behind, 1.43 back from Jeff Wright. Chris Samard in the picture as well. Ronnie Osmer, Ray Massey back 61 points. Noah Mahalski, James Loveland, Dallas Sullivan, Dennis Faircloth, Cody Adkins, and unfortunately, we have not seen Justin Carey out on the track for one of our races here in the Chase.
We have not, but man, what a storybook win it was for him at Daytona. But nonetheless, after that incident with Jeff Wright last week at Dover, very interesting to see, as this track is going to be very unpredictable, big wrecks can happen. Can Jeff Wright just manage a good finish today to where he can lock that championship up next week? So this is going to be very interesting. How about we go to our starting grid here for tonight's race as qualifying has just continued. The cars getting gridded onto the racetrack here. And it looks like, I believe, Ryan Gimmel is going to win the pole here for tonight's race with a 32.321. And his outside VSPEED teammate, Chris Samard, will start off on the front row. Behind them by just 1/1000th of a second off is going to be Jeff Wright in the 48th. Then Ronnie Osmer will start in the 4th place position. Then 5th is going to be Adam Mr. V-Speed Baker, going to roll off in the top 5 with Dennis Faircloth rolling off to his outside in 6th in row 3. Row 7 has Ray Massey in the 23 car with 32.417. With how about Eric Hutton? Good to have him back in that 88 car. He'll be rolling off from the 8th place position. And row number 5 is going to have a pair of rookies, Jace Coley in the 65 with James Barker in the 28, going to roll off in 10th.
I'm glad you remember the name James that time. I probably would have messed up and called him by his government name there. But right behind in the 11th spot, we've got Jeremiah Vincent in the number 6, next to Keith Mayato in the 36. 13th goes to the Benson Weaver machine, the 01 number 1 hero cards, Chevy Camaro. The 55 of Cody Atkins will start to his outside in 14th. 15th will go to Brody Hayes in the 37, next to Max Cost in the 63. A couple cars with no qualifying times here. Dallas Sullivan will take up the 17th starting spot, next to James Loveland in the 02 and 18th. 19th, I promise I am up here and not down there, so you can ignore that, but Jake Matthew will take up the 20th starting position in the 13 machine. Just a couple more to go, and that's Chase Abel, who will move up a row to that spot where you saw myself. I have mistakenly joined as a driver instead of a spectator tonight. I haven't done it all season, Alec. I was due for one, right?
Of course, yeah, and I think I've done once or twice. I know I did it last week, but good to have you up here in the booth with me. And well, look at this, back on the banks of the Atlanta Motor Speedway, newly updated Atlanta Motor Speedway, the catch fencing and stuff updated. I know we're not in the nighttime, that also was in one of the recent updates, but field of 19 cars going to roll off here. Ryan Gemmel, and like we said, for all those watching and have watched Atlanta Motor Speedway, we know this is going to be a super speedway style of race. Super speedway engines, but intermediate package on these racetracks. The aero package is what you would normally see anywhere. The same aero package we had at Dover last week is what's being ran here. Just the engines are restricted to 450 horsepower under the hoods of these race cars, but nonetheless, the racing is going to be hot. It's slick outside, and it's a pair of teammates on the front row here for 120 laps of super speedway style racing. Race number 6 of the playoffs is underway from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Good push from the bottom row. Gemmel and Wright going to be leading off of turn 2, but Wright can't clear. Here comes the outside lane now. Push from Osmer to Samard into turn number 3, and the field will race into 3 at about race speeds. Will go a little bit faster next time by, and now up to full race speed. Now, for the first time, all the cars on the racetrack in one big draft. Gemmel leads lap 1, but Samard coming back on the outside into turn number 1.
A good run for that front row there. Ryan Gemmel in the 6 machine with all the help that he could ask for right now from the 48 of Jeff Wright. Looked like Wright might have taken a look to the outside lane there to think better of it before sliding up in front of the 77 of Chris Samard. Samard falling back now to the clutches of Ray Massey. Door to door with him. Samard has that number 20, Ronnie Osmer, in tow. Jace Coley on the inside line there in row number 4 at the bottom.
Yeah, you got to be very careful pushing on that bottom lane with the kink and the dog legs. Also got to remember that red and white line is off limits tonight. You cannot go underneath there to pass. As you can see the field kind of stringing out a little bit, then according back together. And also to remember as well that pit road, that white line that you see entering turn 3, when green flag pit stops happen, you will have to enter below there. Look at that. Championship leader up the racetrack. Saves it, gathers it, and the field checks up. And there is the handling coming into play early in this race. But Jeff Wright, big save, almost got up and caused a massive incident, but they get it back right. But 3 wide in the corner. All the air going to be going around that 48 car. And there goes Faircloth up into the wall. And these cars very sensitive to aerodynamic damage and any sort of air being packed onto the spoilers of these race cars. And just right there, you can see it starting to matter already just on lap number 4 of this race, coming to lap 5. And, well, Logan, it's going to be, it looks like it's going to be a handful all day.
It certainly seems that way, Alec, and I don't expect it to change. I hope it doesn't change. This is going to be some fantastic racing here tonight if this is how it's starting out here in the first 5 laps.
Yeah, going to have to keep care of your tires. And like we said, that pit road is going to be very interesting. No speed limit to enter, but once you get to the second part of pit road where it actually would start pit road speed, you will have to go down to 45 miles an hour. And if we do get those green flag pit stops, I'd expect the field to get very strung out here, but we will have to see. And we were told by a lot of the by one of the drivers, I think it was Dennis Faircloth, only 50 laps here on a tank of fuel. So that might mean that second stage or that second run here, if we go green all the way, you're no matter what going to have to run at least, at the very least, you're going to have to do 2 pit stops here for fuel. And it seems like maybe tires going to be mattering as well.
I feel like tires are certainly going to be a big factor. Look at the run from the 37 right now. Brody Hayes coming up through the bottom. Got past Jeremiah Vincent and James Barker with ease. Looked like he was going to take a look around that 36 machine of Mayato. Mayato goes high. Hayes follows. We'll see if we can start to form up the second line. No. Everybody else is going to fall in front there. Jeff Wright gets left low.
Some did, some didn't, and it looks like Gemmel might have got shuffled out. And here comes Mayato with the run. Got some clean out of the nose. He'll get now up to the back of the 6 car here down the front stretch, maybe be able to push. Osmer thought about going, but he's pushing to 77 here, and we'll stack up on the bottom now. Shuffles Samard up the racetrack, and that's going to now move that top lane, surge it ahead a little bit. Let's get to the second car of Osmer, and now Samard will go and cover that lane, pull up to block the 6 car, and then jump back down, giving the 6 some clean air. Ah, no, he can't, because here comes Osmer on the bottom, being able to at least stay even with them. And now that bottom lane resurges back with Massey push, not even on the 20, but at least the shorter distance. And now Massey gets to the back bumper of Osmer, and then Coley right behind him, and then a little bit of a gap until Jeff Wright on that bottom lane with the 3 of Vincent behind him.
So it seems like we've got, some people maybe taking it a little bit easier than we would expect. A couple front runners up here that have been up here all year long. Ooh, big check up there from that top line.
Gemmel got the wall in the entry of the corner, checked up Mayato and Hayes, and they were able to miss. And now that bottom lane is just going to kind of surge ahead here and at least push Osmer clear of the 77, see if Massey can get clear into turns 1 and 2. And like we said, with that intermediate aero package, you can't stay flat out. Well, sometimes while leading you can, but when you're the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th car in line, you have to lift off the gases. Here comes Massey shooting down to the bottom with the push from Samard.
That number 23, Clark Print Shop Machine. He wants some laps led here tonight. Ray Massey could go for a win here.
Yeah, and these cars on edge. You saw Massey shoot out into clean air, and just immediately that car all over the place. And it's amplified when you get a car behind you while leading, like Jace Coley. If he can get up to him in turns 3 and 4, especially in turns 3 and 4, because the radius is a little bit tighter into the corners. Right here, you'll see him, and this right here will take all the air off of the spoiler if he gets close to him. But right there, doing a good job not driving into him here. And you can see Samard getting a little bit closer to Osmer and kind of upsetting the back of that 20 Firelight machine. Doesn't really move him all out of whack where he has to get out of the gas. And that's really the big hurt if you have to get out of the gas and you kill all the momentum, especially at a track like this, super speedway style. Momentum is your friend, but with handling mattering so much, it also matters your tires and the downforce that you could get on that car.
That downforce is going to be a big thing here today. You know, typical super speedway racing, you want no damage as much as possible to stay damage free, so you have all the aero that you could need the entire time. The tires are typically not a factor at Talladega or Daytona, where they are here at Atlanta, which makes this track so unique to be considered a super speedway.
It does, and it's a super speedway mile-and-a-half hybrid, and I think a good thing here is you can see into turns 3 and 4, and you just see that Oscar kind of pinching the 65 McCauley down a little bit. You just don't want to over-analyze the pinch, or you don't really want to over-analyze the pushes here, because these cars are so sensitive when you get behind each other on a super speedway, and it's always a key too. You see Samard kind of poke the nose out in clean air. That really helps settle the car down and not sway as much. When you're in dirty air, there's really no air getting clean to the front. And coming down the backstretch. Dennis Faircloth is in. I think that's Jake Mackey as well. Spinning to the inside, retaining wall, no caution. And Faircloth's night is going to be over with heavy damage. And again, no caution. And that is a big hit for the 80.
Let's take it back on the VSPEED instant replay, though.
That's a shame here. Looks like got into the wall. Oh, James Barker. Then Eric Hutton gets into him.
Oh,
then,
and Mackey's just an innocent bystander in that.
That's unfortunate that that's not a caution, and that really checked up the back half of this field. Dallas Sullivan's lost the pack. Eric Hutton and James Barker have 100% lost that pack now, and looks like Cost and Abel, the last two cars in this pack with Atkins, Weaver, Loveland, but that pack's significantly shortened up, and even Adam Baker, he is sitting about 22 seconds off of the lead draft here, off of the leader at the least, and he is really behind. I'm curious if he didn't maybe get to the grid or what happened there, but he is way off of the pack.
Didn't quite see the 47 mixed up in that, but maybe he was just behind it, checked up just enough, expecting that yellow flag to come out that never did. But he's entering turn number 1 as the entire field is across the start-finish line.
He needs a caution. Eric Hutton, the 15th place car right now. This would be a good telltale to see how good the draft is in these cars, but he is 5-6 tenths behind, and slowly but surely, I think, using a little more tire up, but he's running this pack back down. He ran the 63 back down from being almost a second back, but Barker now has to at least kind of try to latch on to him, and he's starting to lose him slowly but surely, maybe with the extra damage on the 28 car, but Hutton back into the front pack here, now making it 15 cars, trying to maybe get 16 is the 28, but he's just a little bit of a ways away from the 88's draft, and he's starting to lose them now.
You can see where Eric Hutton has caught up now to that back end of the pack, all the way back to that back bumper, the 55 of Cody Atkins. No problem right now for the 88 to recover on that one.
No, and this front pack still side by side. You can see Barker in the background, slowly losing them, and another car way back there is Dallas Sullivan. As you can see, Mackey and Baker now have caught each other and now at least drafting with each other, but up at the front, still double file, about 6-7 rows deep, as Osmer on the outside in that blue 20 car, as Coley gives a big shot to Massey on the inside in that black and yellow 23 Ford Mustang. But a lot of guys up here. This top 4 looking for their first win of the season.
Yeah, first win being in the chase, it's just, a cherry on top. That's the way, if you're going to have some sort of momentum, now's the time to do it, especially whenever you're in the points chase. Every point matters, no matter where you're at.
Yeah, good to know. Barker starting to reel in the back half of that pack, that cookout white and red Chevy 28 car, that black 28 on the roof. He is back into the pack, so now make it 16 cars in the lead draft here in what is now 1 car out of the race. Dennis Faircloth with heavy front end damage, and I think they've just taken that car either to the garage or he's just out of it at the moment. But Mackey and Baker now have drafting together in 19th and 18th, but they are going to need a caution. And we got to remember as well that pit road, how spread out will this field get with pit road?
That's a good question. Not only just pit road being as difficult as it is now, with that entry on the back side of the track. You have to commit to pit road before turn 3. So you have to keep it on the flat side of the track here for an entire corner while trying to maintain speed so you don't lose a whole lot of ground. You know, that might come into strategy planning as well as just timing.
Yeah, and we see that white line. You can't, once you go inside that commitment box, you cannot go over that white line. You do that, it's going to be an unsafe pit entry and another, I believe it's either a stop and go or a drive-through, and that will essentially ruin your race if you get that. So don't want to do that. Got to be perfect pretty much and be very, very easy, because, you know, you want to be in the lead draft at the least. So and who knows how much this pack will shrink down. I don't think we're going to have all 16 cars stay in the lead draft, but, you know, if we could still get 10, 15 cars, which is going to be a stretch, but I think 10, if you could have a 10-car pack, you know, just never know what can happen. Single file doesn't seem to be the way to go just because of the checkups and stuff. So double file, maybe a little bit faster, but you get a row of 4-car single file, that'll be faster than 15 cars side by side. So be interesting to see here. So we can see Massey get a little loose there with the 65 pack in air, and then it looked like Osmer goes up the racetrack, but now gonna have some momentum with the push from Samard into turn 3. So you can see Massey losing the grip in that car as Coley gets closer and closer to the rear end, especially on that left rear. You don't want to overpack air and upset the rear end of that car and then create a big wreck.
As the last thing that you want to do, especially so early in the race. 120 laps is what we've got on the board. Forgot to bring that up, Alec. Let's run through our race analysis here. 120 laps, 45 miles per hour on the pit road speed, with 4 tire sets available, 1 on the car, 3 laying in the pits. 3 green, white checkered attempts if we need them at the end of this race, with the standard 80% fuel load and the iRacing fixed setup. So a little bit of strategy going to be at play here, no matter how you try to spin it.
It is, and we'll have to see. Maybe about 20 or so laps away from pit stops, but Coley losing the nose in the dirty air of the 23. Just got to be careful here. It's early in this race, and you don't want to trigger a big wreck like we saw at Daytona. As you can see Barker up the racetrack there, and Cost going underneath him. And how about Max Cost in that pink and silver, or I guess gray silverish car? Won Talladega earlier this year, and I know it's not completely like Talladega or Daytona, but he was the only other driver to win on a super speedway-like racetrack. So maybe watch out for Max Cost at the end of this if he could put himself in the right position here as this run continues to go on and these cars continue to lose handling on the racetrack here. As maybe Eric Hutton got up into the wall there off of turn number 2.
A look here at the 88 machine. Yeah, he's fallen back quite a bit there. James Barker has officially caught the pack. And Hutton falling back behind Barker, who does have front end damage. I don't see any on the 88 machine.
Oh, looks good. Maybe, you know, composite bodies. They won't show the scrape marks, but he might have got the Waller off before. But these two just hanging on here, but they need to get up a little bit higher just with their damage. I can tell you when you get a green flag run, the first initial 10 or so laps, it races a lot like a super speedway. You can go flat out in the corners, but after that, there's more lifting, which brings them back into the pack. You know, that first beginning of the run, that damage, nobody's going to want to work with them. So kind of want to get yourself at least where people are forced to work with you here as this lead pack continues to be 16 cars and Ray Massey continuing to lead it. Double file, a couple rows deep. Cody Atkins having a little moment there in the back of the pack, saves it. But you can see losing a little bit of time now. Max Koss gets behind him. How about Chase Abel in that 0 car? He's up into 12th, so he's hanging on here. The rookie had a good run his first week last week. He got 10th.
Yeah, so he's looking to carry that momentum into tonight. Keep an eye on that Abel machine. I'm sure that we'll see him challenging up there for the top 5 position after long. Looks like he's setting himself up nicely here, right between, choosing either line that he wants right now.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm noticing, look at all the cars on the outside behind Ronnie Osmer, all teammates. Samard in the 77, the 6 of Gimmel, the 36 of Mayato, 37 of Hayes, and the 02 of Loveland, all teammates on that outside lane. Is Benson Weaver having a little bit of a moment there, and it looked like Keith Mayato maybe having a little bit of a connection issue, but they get it back going here. as lap 30 clicks up onto the board, just shy of about 20 or so laps, probably from pit stops here, as Coley's car is just all over the place here as this run continues on. And Jeff Wright, the championship leader right behind him, cannot afford another bad race where he gets 19th or 18th, and then maybe Keith Biotto or Brody Hayes go on to win this race. Cannot afford that, as, ooh, man, Osmer really loose on the outside now.
That is not what you want to see if you're the driver of the 48 right now. That car directly in front of you, drifting up the racetrack towards a car that's showing that they're loose on the high side. Oh, and Coley's going to get very loose on corner entry there. Brings it back down to the apron, nearly touches it, nearly touches Osmer. The 65 all over the place right now. Jeff Wright gets out of the way. He said no more of this.
And I don't blame him, but Coley's got to be careful as well. He's following too close. The tires are too worn to be this close behind the 23. The dirty air is taking effect. You can see the nose push up the racetrack, and especially if you get a car behind you, you got to be careful. But right here, he's following just a little bit too close. He's got to maybe back up a little bit, give the pushes on the straightaway, give yourself a little bit of breathing room in the corners to where you're not going to push up the racetrack like that. And you can see a push to Massey there into turn 3, but whew, these cars are getting light on their feet. And right there, you can see Coley get up the racetrack, and there he goes, sideways in front of the pack. The cars, everybody checking up. Coley's still loose. Hayes hangs on to it, but everybody keeps it clean and green.
Wow.
And Coley goes from second on the inside to dead last in the front pack. And that really strung things out.
Well, since the field's kind of separated, let's take another look at that from the in-car. He had to have a lot of wheel in that one.
Oh, Keith Biotto just got into the wall and maybe got some damage from his teammate. And on board with Chase Coley on our replay here. Heck of a save, and what a great job from the rest of the field not getting into him or wrecking into each other. But this field got spread out, but now they're quickly becoming disorganized here because the top 3 have kind of pulled away from everybody. And now it's Jeremiah Vincent top 4, excuse me. Now it's Jeremiah Vincent trying to lead the charge. And I want to point out that Keith Biotto got up into the wall and maybe a little contact from his teammate James Loveland and a little bit of left rear damage to the 36 of Biotto now here on lap 35 of 120. And now Osmer going to the outside, but just no help with him. And Vincent, that Bud number 3 car, up to 6th on the racetrack. And now Hayes looking low, and now Wright poking out a line to go up and help Osmer here and maybe push him to the lead.
Now here's a question for you, Alec. We know that the fuel cell can go about 50 laps, but the tires are showing a faster wear rate than what we should probably be expecting here. Do you think any of these drivers are going to split this race into thirds and call it a pit stop at lap number 40?
If you have teammates, you can, but if you don't and you're all by yourself, it's not going to be worth it because the draft means so much. And I got to also think, too, Ray Massey's going to have to pit before everybody else is going to pit because he's been leading this race for more than half of the run, and he's at least been leading a line for almost this entire run. So he's going to have way less fuel than everybody else, and we'll be curious to see if anybody's willing to pit with him, or is he going to be a sitting duck and have to pit by himself here? And we're going to find out shortly because if everybody could go 50, easily, he's going to be able to go 47, 48 at the most.
Yeah, challenging thing to try to decipher here, but if I do recall correctly, Ray Massey, Ronnie Osmer sharing a team here together. So if we see anybody come in as a team, those two very likely. Of course, all the VSPEED drivers. You've got Adam Baker in the mix. If he can get caught back up, Brody Hayes, Chris Smart, Loveland, Biotto, Gimmel, and they'll all be on the same strategy. And then you got a couple other teams in there in the mix as well. Wright and Hutton, Vincent all like to work together. Adkins, Sullivan. There's a couple different groups here that I could see trying to run a different type of strategy.
Well, you can see those cars now up in the distance ahead of the leaders. As last week's winner, Brody Hayes, challenging for the lead, but Baker and Mackey are going to probably get lapped here. What they need is a caution to come out here very soon. As you can see on board with Ray Massey, you can see those 2 cars up ahead. They're going to get lapped very shortly by this lead pack unless a caution comes out, which is good for them because they'll be able to pit with the pack, but not good that you're going to lose a lap, and who knows how spread out this field's going to get. Here, and green flag pit stops are really going to spread this field out. And if that happens, I'd have to think we're probably going to go caution free to the end. would be my assumption here. As this field, you can tell as the tires wear, man, these guys really getting all over the place. But I'll give credit to Ray Massey, man. He's been able to control this race a lot. Looks to be the best car, especially when you get out in clean air. But Hayes now able to challenge, and he's coming from the back.
Now that's one thing that we haven't quite touched on there is, we've talked about the characteristics of the track and how aero is affected here, how the tires are affected, just everything about that. But we haven't quite touched on, I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. But right now it's Brody Hayes around the outside here. Ronnie Osmer finally caught up to the back bumper, giving that 37 machine a little bit of a run here on the outside. But here comes clean air is what I was going to say, Alec.
Yeah.
Clean air is a big, big deal here. So, keeping those front tires underneath the car, the 23 leading this pack. Sure, he's giving up some fuel, but ultimately that car is driving a whole lot better than everybody else behind him.
Well, he better get ready because he's going to need to use some of those tires. This is probably going to get 3 wide here into turn 3, and Baker going down, Mackey going all the way on the wall. That's going to really affect the handling of the 37. They get by 1, and now they're going to have to get by the other of the 47. Loose. Mackey's got to hurry up and get in line here and not lose these guys. So where does Adam Baker go? He goes high, goes top, and now this will be very interesting to see how these guys are able to navigate through the field here as Baker gets up into the wall a little bit, but everybody navigating through the traffic, and that will be that. And now Baker can get back in line, and now he's racing Jake Mackey for that lucky dog, as we are very shortly coming to green flag pit stop. Now we may have lost Barker and Sullivan, but it's still a 17-car pack because we've added the 2 lap cars into it now. So when will they pit? And I gotta think Ray Massey's going to be the first car coming into pit road. And Chris Samard, another driver who's just been consistently up here at the front, was leading a couple of laps, got back in line, but he's been one of the top 2 or 3 cars in no matter what line, and he's been doing a good job managing this race. Same with Ronnie Osmer. But again, you got to execute on pit stops. You got to execute here, because your execution on this pit stop can be the difference from a top 10 to maybe battling for the win.
Yeah, Samard having a kind of a quiet but sneaky day so far, staying up here around, at least within the top 10 the entire time since we've seen that green flag drop. But a lot of that time spent up here in the top 5, pushing the lead car or the second in line car. That's 77. You always got to keep an eye on him. He doesn't say much, but he's always around.
He's there. And, I look at Brody Hayes. Brody Hayes, and I want to see if he does it again in turns 1 and 2. But you got to look at how much he's going to jump down as soon as I say that. But he was giving clean air to Ronnie Osmer and letting him at least get some air to the nose so he could push him at least down the straightaways. But did a really good job there into turn 3, and now jumps down to the bottom. That allows Osmer to get up to the outside. But we'll see here what Hayes decides to do. Is now Hayes finally got clean air, and now Ray Massey's really put behind somebody for the first time in a while.
First time the 23's seen a back bumper in some laps here, but you have to think that's got to be a move from the 37 getting ready to come down pit road. We're right in that fuel window now that it's time for anybody to bring it down. So we'll see a lot more of these guys start to shift that car down to that bottom line.
I got to think it's pit stops are coming up in here in the next 5 laps. And if you're watching, thinking about going to get some, you might want to stay just a little longer, because this might be the make or break decision that happens in this race. And Ronnie Osmer continues to lead that top lane, and just help from 1 car, but it just shows the accordion effect on the bottom kind of just checks up everybody. If you get to that outside lane, you can just kind of power ahead. You got a little bit of clean air. You can see Jeremiah Vincent, Chase Abel going up the racetrack here, and here it comes the first part of the field coming in.
So that's all the VSPEED team right there. Brody Hayes, he's going to lead them in.
Be careful.
Oh, sideways. Well,
saved it.
Good thing he's getting fresh tires anyways.
Yeah, now you gotta back it down here to 45 miles an hour. Do not miss or hit that cone. Back it down here, and they seem to really execute that well. So 6 cars gonna come in this time, and now this second part of the pack. What do they do? Adam Baker, I think, is gonna come in. Ray Massey, surprisingly, is gonna stay out another lap. So here comes Baker. Here comes, I believe, the one of Weaver. And I don't see any other car coming in with him except just Adam Baker. So now the top 9 stay out on the racetrack. And what those guys that just pitted needed is this little bit of a pit cycle to go all the way through, so then they can at least jump ahead of everybody. Is everybody exiting pit road? No penalties that I could see at the very least, so everybody executing their pit stops, their pit cycle well, and they go out of pit road. So now the front pack staying on the racetrack, still yet to bring it in. I gotta come in soon, because that tire advantage with just 6 or 7 cars can mean the difference.
Not only that, the fuel, it was, I believe, 51.8 laps around out of the pit stall. So,
yeah,
Ray Massey being up here for the last, probably 35, 40 laps, I'm surprised that he's able to stretch it even this far. There's no way he tries to go around again, but he's going to. The 23 stays out one more.
Kind of think he's running out of fuel here very soon, but how about this? Massey still leading. Jeremiah Vincent now up to second, currently running. Ronnie Osborne third. How about Chase Abel getting by our points leader up to fourth? Again, this guy's going to need here, and I believe, I'd have to think these guys are going to bring it down pit road. They've got to be at the edge of their fuel window here, and especially Ray Massey, who's been leading this race for most of it. Here they come. I think this is going to be the sign. Here comes Massey to pit road, and I got to see here. Let's see if everybody can make it in and not overdrive it here. And here comes Massey to pit road. Behind him, Ronnie Osman. I think there's one more car, and that's Chase Abel. Look at these two racing each other on pit lane. Osman trying to get back around him into pit road. He'll go harder under the brakes. He'll lock him up, but Osman overtakes Massey into pit road. Abel was quietly behind them, and now the top 5 have yet to come in, and that we'll have to see where they cycle out ahead of the front pack. And now the leader, the second or third string of cars will pit. Max Koss going to be the lone survivor on an island all by himself pitting. So now Jeremiah Vincent, Eric Hutton, Jeff Wright, and those 3 are going to come into pit road. They're going to have to be nice and easy on the pit road. It looks like Jake Mackey, the 4th car, and into pit road they go. They seem to all make it in on under speed, and man, it seems a lot better and a lot less chaotic now that happened. We were able to catch onto the draft of Coley, and now they'll jump ahead. And let's see, as this second pack exits out of pit road, Osmer, Massey, they're going to exit, but they're going to lose them, and now the 28 going to go a lap down. There's Massey and Osmer. They've lost that front pack here, and I believe this other pack that's going to be exiting pit road in just a second. So Hayes is going to get the lead, and the VSPEED teammates organizing an incredible strategy here to get ahead with just 2 stragglers, Weaver and Coley, and these guys are going to blow by them. Here comes Jeff Wright exiting out of pit road, Eric Hutton coming with them, and Jeremiah Vincent. So we're going to have about 2 distinct packs, but I do like the fact that it's less spread out because of this new pit road.
Yeah, this new pit road, that went a whole lot smoother than I thought it was going to, Alec. A lot of these drivers able to really hold on to it. Saw the 88 of Eric Hutton lock down the front tires there on his entrance, but overall no speeding penalty there. Made that 45-mile-an-hour pit road speed work. So no complaints from the entire field, but I too am impressed by this VSPEED top 5 right now.
Yeah, I mean, now teammates working together on a super speedway, always good to have when you come to racetracks like these. And fortunately for Max Kost, he probably should have pitted with Jeff Wright in them, because that's going to cost him the lead draft, I'd have to guess. So at the moment, that second pack led by Osmer, and it's not even a pack, it's a straggle of 2 cars. Just 2 cars there. They are unfortunately getting pulled away by that front pack. But here's the good difference for them. They have fresher tires, and we'll see. You never hear about tires mattering on a super speedway, but maybe their tire advantage could be the difference between them catching and not catching that lead pack. And we'll have to see if they get back going and get back to each other, and at least be 5 cars with fresher tires, and maybe they can run down that front pack. But they need Jeff Wright and at least Eric Hutton to maybe get to him, and Jeremiah Vincent, but they're all very spread out behind.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. What the best case scenario right now is that Jeremiah Vincent gets to the back bumper here of Eric Hutton, pushes Hutton up to the back bumper of Jeff Wright, that 3-car tandem start to collect in Ronnie Osmer, Ray Massey. Then they have a
Trouble,
3
Jeff
second.
Wright!
Oh
Jeff
no!
Wright! No, and that is your points leader again. Another bad wreck to happen and another big hit in points. And if you pan around, the left rear of that car is destroyed, and our points leader for the second week in a row destroyed. And that is our first caution of the night.
Let's take it back here.
And
Oh no!
The 28 of James Barker gets in it. And that is a shame. And Jeff Wright once again caught up in an incident while his championship rivals are at the front of the field. And there's another look at it. Nowhere for Jeff Wright to go. And that is a hard hit. And unfortunately might be his race over because of the damage that he has.
That is not what you want to see for the points leader by any means. Rough week last week. Ended his race early, and this might be a tough one to recover from here tonight.
And we'll have to see where everybody cycles out. Eric Hutton stays out. Jeremiah Vincent, Cody Atkins all stay out, and the rest of the field going to come in and get fresh tires and fuel. And again, another look at that. Heavy damage to the rear end at the least, and then the front end destroyed. And this is just not going good for the last couple of weeks of Jeff Wright, who is destroyed once again. And that points lead that was almost 80 points is going to come down to possibly 20. And whoa, man, what a shocker that's going to be at Bristol next week, and another track that can get wild and crazy, and you can just see the damage. Jeff Wright staying out right now, but he's going to have to pit. There's no way he could stay out with that car. And top three going to stay out at the moment, which is Hutton, Vincent, and Atkins, who were kind of spread out away from the pack. But Dallas Sullivan's going to take the wave around. Cody Atkins is going to stay out, and now you'll see these two pit. And I can't believe Jeff Wright is staying out.
And Jeff Wright with a bunch of damage there that he needs to get taken care of.
Yeah, and look at the laps here. This is going to be tight on fuel. I still think you're going to need to make a pit stop, but you get one more caution, it becomes a fuel mileage race here. So I think under caution, you can just pit at the normal spot. You won't get a penalty. So I think this is fine for Jeff Wright to do. And he's going to come in, but, I mean, he's got to have, I can't imagine the amount of damage he's going to have. That car is going to be nowhere near the possibility of being able to run in the draft.
And I don't know if you're catching this, Alec, but I see 3 black flags now on the field. Don't know how true it is, but it looks like Jeff Wright, Eric Hutton, Jeremiah Vincent all with the black flag at the moment. We'll see how that plays out. That could have even bigger implications for the 48 machine now.
I don't think the black flag is going to matter for him. He's got to get this damage fixed, and unfortunately, he's going to fall at least a lap or two down. I'm curious if James Barker is still on the racetrack. Yeah, he's still rolling, so this penalty that they're getting is, I think, a tail end of the longest line, but I don't think that matters because Jeff Wright's car is destroyed. And Jeff Wright is still in his pit box getting damage fixed. And Adam Baker was actually the recipient of the lucky dog here, so he's going to be on the lead lap. And hearing what I'm hearing, Jeremiah Vincent and Eric Hutton do have penalties, but they're going to be cleared, so they're good. But Jeff Wright is going to lose more laps here, and he is staying in pit road. They are working on that car, so now we're going to go green with 60 laps to go, and still another set of pit stops to at least go, but. What a turn and what a 2 races for the points to shift immediately in 2 races to be from 70 points almost to, if how this race can go, almost 20 points.
Yeah, this could be very, very tight coming into the last couple of races, Alec. It's not what the 48 wanted to see by any means, but it is what the rest of these teams wanted to see. Is green flag back out on the track. Cody Atkins leading the way on the bottom line. The 37 of Brody Hayes right behind.
Great restart for Atkins. But remember, he's on a little bit older tires here. Hayes poking out of line, going to the outside of the 55, and here comes teammate Chris Samard. Does he go with them? No, he goes and pushes the 55, and a big push to Gemmel from Coley, and now Massey trying to get back up to the front here, and maybe this is the 2 best cars all day. Massey and Hayes here at the front. Atkins holding his own on the bottom, and you can see now this pack, this field, all together about 18 cars. So let's see if they can all stay together. Jeff Wright going 2 laps down. He's going to fall back to 19th now, still getting that car repaired. As, one car up in the outside wall. I believe it's Chase Abel in the 0. And he gets it back in. No, he's good.
Didn't quite catch Abel in the wall there, but that's it's one of those things. They're still kind of on the cold tires. They had a couple pace laps, a couple green flag laps, but I don't believe they'd be up to full temperature until right about now or so.
Now, and a lot of the cars came back in to get another set of tires in just only 8 or 9 laps of usage, and these guys wanted them off, getting a new set. So we'll have to see how that'll cycle up, especially because Cody Atkins is on older tires and is holding his own. And I believe Dallas Sullivan took the waiver round. He was able to stay ahead of Cody Atkins before the caution came out. So he's back on the lead lap. There's 16 cars currently on the lead lap right now. And I think these drivers are going to know to manage their stuff a little bit more before we get to pit stops here. And pit stops are going to matter a lot, but I still think you're going to want to take 4 tires on these pit stops. And especially since you still have to pit, you could take a little less fuel, maybe even 2 tires, but that's going to be a really big risk. But for sure, 4 tires here, and maybe split this race in half and this run in half now. So you can only go 30, which means you can really push these tires to the limit, push these cars to the limit now, which could result in a wreck.
It's going to be getting a lot more driven here. There's a lot more on the line. Once you see that points leader go now 5 laps down, and we've got a couple guys up there that are really hunting in the points. What do you say we take a second to bring that back up here? Just take a look. Yeah. So Brody Hayes, one of those drivers that could really, really benefit. Keith Mayato there, only 1 point behind. So Chris Samard, Ronnie Osmer, those top 4 are still very much in the chase. Even Ray Massey isn't quite out of the picture. If he can string together a couple wins here and a couple bad luck weeks for the 48, there's still a possibility of seeing that 23 Clark Print Shop machine taking home a championship on this season.
It's possible. It's out there, but it's possible. But especially for Brody Hayes and Keith Mayato, and look at where they're running. 2nd, 5th, 6th maybe. That's a lot of points that can be gathered up. Even Chris Samar running up here in the top 3. That's a lot of points to gain on the 48 car. And last week, what did Jeff have? Like a 70 or 65 point lead over Hayes. Hayes cut it down to 42 with the win and a 19th place finish for Jeff Wright. So he can cut out another 20 or so points. Only going to take him 20 points back. That's easily 1 race or 2 races worth, especially if the 48 has another week of bad luck, which has seemed to be the case for him, especially as we go into Bristol, another wild card race that can be a little bit wild and crazy. It's possible, but I just think he's had so many wins, he's built up so many points. It's still going to be tough to beat Jeff Wright, but nonetheless, this has definitely become a much tighter championship, but we still got a lot more laps to go here to decide if that's going to be the case or not for the end of this season.
And with only 2 races left on the schedule, this is where it counts, right here. Three races before we see a champion get crowned. It's make or break now, Alec. I think I said that last week, but once you see that happen back-to-back weeks for Jeff Wright, that's how you know that it could be anybody's ball game now.
Well, you've seen out of Jeff Wright now, and we know he's the best driver, but we've seen it seemed like he's been unbeatable, unstoppable, but now there's been a couple chinks in the armor that has really kind of brought Jeff Wright back down to earth, and he doesn't seem like he's, unbeatable. He is beatable because of the bad luck, and even at Watkins Glen, Brody Hayes was around him the entire time, battling him for the win, so it's definitely not out of reach for a lot of these drivers, and I'm sure we'll see that intensity ratchet up a little bit more as laps start to click off here. We're coming close here to 50 laps to go. This getting down to the nitty gritty, and we know Atlanta. Look at how it's racing, super speedway style. We haven't seen 3 wide moves yet. They're going to happen at the end of this race. I know there's teammates up here, but hey, when you got to win a checkered flag in front of you, you're going to make moves and try to do whatever you can to win this race. So it's going to be tough here. Ooh, a tight pinch off of turn number 2 down the backstretch, and Cody Atkins coming up a little bit, maybe side route to 37, and Chris Samar following right with him. I almost got into James Loveland down the backstretch.
Now, you mentioned the teammate play here and being willing to take somebody 3 wide. 3 teammates fall in behind Jeff right now in the point standing. So it just depends on, do you want to be the one to try to take that title away this season, or do you want to work as a team? So anything can happen, really, if you want to break that one down.
Yeah, and it could get crazy here. And I need to point out, you see that 46 Lego machine. He was a lap down when that caution came out. He was able to stay ahead of what was eventually the leader once everybody came in, Cody Atkins. And he took the wave around, and he was restarted in 16th, and now has worked himself up into 6th. Can Dallas Sullivan maybe play spoiler to one of these VSPEED cars later in this race? We've seen him in the Cup car here almost take the win away from, at the time, was eventual season champion Adam Cabot.
Getting in the wall's not going to do it.
That's not going to help, but he still looks to be all right. But Dallas Sullivan, no slouch to having success here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Maybe try to get back in line. Maybe push it a little too hard, especially now as these tires are older and now you can see getting into the dirty air. How about Benson Weaver up here in the 01 as well, having a solid run just up ahead of Dallas Sullivan. He's running in 7th.
As you can see there at the top of your screen, 98 degrees on the track surface right now. That is about 15 degrees cooler than what it was in the practice session, where we really saw quite a bit going on. Now it seems like it's pretty well getting ironed out here. It's James Loveland's on the outside of Brody Hayes right now, challenging for the lead.
And Jeff Wright just got back onto the racetrack, did a lap or so, and then brought it back down to pit lane. So he's going to go back to pit road and get that car fixed. So he is struggling, and that car is destroyed. And I'll be surprised maybe if I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe just puts the window net down and pulls it into the garage here as he is back into pit road, back into his pit stall. But it's race for the lead. James Loveland now going to take the lead. Remember him? He got the pole last week at Dover, had a good run, and then his teammate Chris Smart, a little friendly fire, got involved in an incident on pit road and maybe killed what could have been a good run and maybe a possible 1, 2, 3, 4 for this team. But currently running 1, 2, 3, 4, and these two teammates that might be in the championship fight, Hayes and Mayato running 2nd and 3rd behind, who is also in the chase, James Loveland. The other driver who's not in the chase is James Loveland, and then behind them, Chris Samard, who's just a couple points behind them. And Jeff Wright has pulled it into the garage, and he is out of the race, so he will get credited with a 19th place finish.
I believe up here right now in the top 10, 7 of our top 10 drivers are all chase drivers. So it's the competition's heated whenever you get to this point, and it's still a race at the front between all of them, no matter who they are or where they're at in the points. Just about every single one of those chase drivers up here.
It is, and here's the other question as well. When do these guys pit? We know they still have to make another pit stop. There's no way they can go 58 laps. We saw these drivers go 52, and that was stretching it, so I don't see them being able to save 6 or 7 laps of fuel to pit. So do you cut this race in half is the question. And they started this run 18 laps ago, so you would be asking about 12 to 15 more laps than bringing it in and taking it to the end of the race.
It's so risky at this point. We've seen just the one caution, but at this point, it's, the racing's going to get even more heated as Mayato all over the back bumper of Loveland there across that quad oval. So, the racing is going to get a lot more heated. The chances of a caution coming out get higher whenever it comes to these late race runs. Mayato into the wall there out of turn number 2. It's so risky to try to cut it in half. I mean, you've got a couple of the drivers that have teammates to work with to do so and make that happen and actually make it work. But then you're risking going that lap down and that yellow coming out, then all that progress is gone.
And there's another thing to think about it as well. When you pit, you're not going to need a lot of fuel. Are the tires going to matter enough to take 4? Or are we going to see these guys do a splash and go and just get 3-4 seconds of fuel and then off and away and just go out on the rest of these old tires? Or are we going to see these guys take maybe 2 in a splash, or take 4 in a splash? What will we see? That's going to be another question. How about Cody Atkins doing a good job staying up here with his track position? Being in the first couple of rows has been really able to help, but he's going to have to pit sooner than everybody else will. And here's the other thing. The only other driver that has to pit around when Cody Atkins has to pit is his teammate, Dallas Sullivan, who took the wave. So those two I would expect to be the first two cars to probably bring it down pit lane.
That would be a good assumption. However, they might go for that overcut strategy. I would say, you know, we went green back at the start of lap 61. Big contact in the wall for Benson Weaver in the 01 on the outside of Dallas Sullivan. But, you know, it's a big question mark right now. That's all I can really say.
And this top 10 or so is single file. And then Adam Baker's all by himself in 11th. And look at that straggle of single file cars from 11th to about 17th on the racetrack. So these guys maybe saving a little more fuel, saving a little more tire, and Adam Baker kind of leading the charge. And then remember, Jeremiah Vincent, Eric Hutton, and I believe Ronnie Osmer, they all came back in, and Max Cost, they all came back in to top off on fuel. So we'll have to see how that will play into effect. And I believe Adam Baker was another one of those drivers. So they'll maybe take a little less fuel than the others, maybe saving a little tire back here to go and race these guys up. I can tell you this, I don't see this finish ending, or this race ending without one more caution because of how this race can play out at the end.
I can't wait to see how hard these drivers get going here once we get into that, you know, last, I'm going to call it a stage or a stint, but, you know, it's going to get heated. There's no doubt about that. When there's so much on the line, like, obviously, every single one of these guys is going to have a good advantage going into next week on the points. That gap is officially going to close up even more to our points leader. But again, as I mentioned earlier, every single point matters. And if it comes down to one position here, it could be that one position that you really needed in 2 weeks of the championship race.
It definitely can be. In Bristol, who knows? And we just know what has happened recently with Jeff Wright. The momentum is not on his side, and the momentum really seems to be on Brody Hayes' side. And it was on there for Keith Mayato when he won a couple races, but now Brody Hayes, the last couple of races, have an average finish of like 2.2. So he has been insane these last couple of weeks and has really just been consistent. And right now you find him at the front again, leading this field. And Jeff Wright maybe going to break a little bit of a sweat here going into Bristol, where we know Brody Hayes solid on short tracks. So we'll have to see how this race will play out. And again, still another set of pit stops to go. The strategy, though, can be a lot more unique.
Indeed it can. It's all just coming down to this here. We're about 5 laps away from when we think that, you know, first pit cycle might come into play, that first opportunity at a strategy call. So it's close.
It will be. And well, while that's going to happen, it's been a little minute since we've gotten our sponsors a shout out. How about we go side by side for a little bit to get a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be back here live for coverage of green flag pit stops with just 35 laps to go. Or 45, excuse me.
Sailor Tower Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader. Known as the nurturing reader at New Jersey street fairs, you can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text 732-314-0777 to schedule your reading today.
And back live at the racetrack, green flag pit stops exactly at where we thought they would be. And it's the VSPEED teammates leading the charge. Loveland, Mayato, Samard, Hayes, Gemmel, and Cully with one more in Benson Weaver. So a 7-car train into pit road. Now, what will this second pack do? Led by Ronnie Osberg and Ray Massey. Do they come and counteract bringing it in pit road? Yes, they do. Top 4 coming in. Sullivan, Atkins, Massey, and Osberg. And it looks like Baker, Hutton, and Jeremiah Vincent and Max Koss stay out. One other car coming in, it's Chase Abel in the 0 car. They need to get a little bit higher up as the James Loveland speeding on pit road. Oh, Cody Atkins slams into the back end of Ray Massey. And now the VSPEED teammates leave. It's Samar, Mayato, Hayes, and Gemmel. And now the top 4 are going to come in, which being Baker, Hutton, and Vincent. No, they stay out. And now Kost is back in. So 2 more cars coming in, 2 cars stay out, but a big penalty for James Loveland.
That's not what you want to happen on the last pit cycle of the race. Eric Hutton, Jeremiah Vincent electing to take some extra laps here around while they have the opportunity. Maybe they'll play that long strategy here, go for that full fuel run and see if that yellow flag comes out, as the rest of this field is going to be battling for position, which will eventually cycle out to the lead once these two do have to come down, no matter what they try.
And we'll have to see here. Osmer and Sullivan only taking no tires. I think some drivers only taking no tires.
Now we got
big decision there.
A 7.5 second for the 20 machine of Osmer, 9.5 seconds
like
for Dallas Sullivan. So 2 drivers underneath that 10-second mark. That does indicate fuel only.
I don't like that. And look at where Ronnie Osmer is. He's all by himself. He's got nobody around him. Ray Massey, I think, was the first car to take 4, and that's going to work out. But look at, he's going to get swallowed up by the VSPEED teammates of Mayato and Hayes. But a couple stragglers coming out. Adam Baker exiting pit road, and I think I see one more. That's Kost as well. Weaver getting by and Coley getting by. So now these guys are going to be forced to have to, I guess, race these guys. And now the 2 teammates of Sullivan and Atkins better get rolling, because they are on older tires, at least right sides possibly, or older left sides. So they're going to be a little less handling to those cars, and now they're going to get slotted back right in line. And this becomes your lead pack as, a big push there, almost a wreck. Big save out of Brody Hayes as he almost turned his teammate Keith Mayato.
That would have been exactly what Hutton and Vincent are waiting for.
Trap the whole field a lap down.
Trap the whole field a lap down. That gives them that opportunity to come in, get some fresh tires, top up on fuel, and still start on that front row. But luckily, nothing happening. Almost 3 wide now, though. Into turn number 1. Down to the apron goes Massey. Contact with the 55 of Atkins.
Big save there, and with that checkup, that's going to lead Baker and Coley back up to this pack. Actually worked out, and what a move there, but it's a risky move because you cannot pass under that red and white line. I think maybe we take another look at that. Yeah, Gallon Freshie's had a big run. I see the vision. I see the hole that he's going for, but you can't advance position there and had some contact. Let him back go, but that, that's tough. I don't know how race control is going to deem that, if you go under the line like that, if you get two under, but I'm sure it'll be policed how they do it in the Cup Series. So we'll see a 12-car, or at least a 10-car draft. And here's Ronnie Osberg. He's going to catch these 2 that have stayed out, which is kind of helping him. He's got a 4-second gap ahead, at least, of the lead pack. But once he gets by these 2, it's kind of over, because now he's going to gap these 2. And look how much tires matter. That's why I'm a little dumbfounded by the strategy the 88 and the 3 are pulling. If they're saving fuel, maybe, but that's going to be really, really tough here to do. But that lead pack, though, is racing hard now. We were talking about who's going to go up there to race. Ray Massey is really trying to make things happen. He is looking for that first win. And look at Adam Baker now with fresher tires.
47 of Baker right back into the picture here, helping out Massey at the moment on that bottom line. The 65 of Coley right behind, but it's that VSPEED tandem up top, only separated by the 46 of Dallas Sullivan right now. That's going to be a hard train to stop.
That's going to be tough when you got teammates kind of working all against you and a teammate of theirs pushing you. I don't know if we're going to see Adam Baker, fully work with Ray Massey, but Ray Massey has not been afraid to make moves out here. And I believe Benson Weaver and Max Cost have caught the tail end of that pack, being Cody Atkins and Dallas Sullivan. And unfortunately for them, look at them. They're going to blow by the top two, and they're all going to unlap themselves now. So that helps. But Adam Baker's going to have to get up. And how about this? Ray Massey clearing all of them, and now getting ahead and leaves the door open for Keep My Auto. And now that blue car that's up ahead is going to get ran down, and that is going to be Ronnie Osmer, who's going to try to fight to stay up here and get some track position. But they are going to be blowing by him, although he's trying to give some draft to Ray Massey, who's getting trained on the outside.
And Ronnie Osmer, just with nobody to work with, it doesn't work out how you would hope it would.
He's got to stay. He's got to stay high here and at least box them in.
Try to. There's so much of a gap here, and it's a big run coming from the outside, and
Whoa.
he stays high. Nearly blocks the 36 of my auto, though. There goes Brody Hayes.
Bottom.
They're leaving him high and dry.
Up, but it's just not going to work here. He's going to get. Maybe Hayes is going to jump up here, because here comes Massey with a big push to the bottom. Now Hayes will try to do his best to clear up, maybe in front of his teammate. And Ronnie Osmer going to stay right where he's at, pushing that 36 car. And now Massey shot out of a cannon to the front. Now here comes Hayes to back down to the outside.
Hayes around the outside here. That's going to get the 36 of my auto back to the back bumpers. Sucks back down to the bottom here. Gets that side draft off of the 23. Doesn't want to lose any of that ground there. He gets the advantage across the line. But we still have a full lap almost separating Vincent and Hutton. So at this point, they've got the pace. If they have the fuel, they could walk away with this by about a half a lap. But I don't think they can stretch that fuel run. They're already on a 43-lap stint.
That's going to be really tough to see if they can stretch that. They're going to have to go at least 60 laps from my calculations here. So that's going to be a long way to go. They're going to have to save 3 or 4 laps worth of fuel. I just don't think they're going at the right amount. And Eric Hutton has really slowed his pace down. He's slowed down to a 32.4. Vincent a 31.9. Not bad, but I just don't know how that's going to work, as this lead pack is driving hard, and I find no way that they're going to be able to clear anybody here, because this is going to be tough. But if you look at where they are, Vincent and Hutton, they still got a little bit of sniff of a draft from these guys. So it's possible that they could at least maybe make it on field, but 6 laps is a long way to go. Look at Ronnie Osmer shooting the middle, 3 wide into 1. Gonna shuffle the teammates out of line. Where does Dallas Sullivan decide to go?
Dallas Sullivan stays right in place. That just pushed up my auto to the wall, and he realized it's too close to the end to try to force anything there. Slides back in behind the 20 of Osmer. What a move, though.
Wow, showing he's willing to do what it takes to win this race, and he is trying his everything to split up these teammates racing each other. Eric Hutton and Jeremiah Vincent have backed it down tenfold or so. 35-second lap times. That's 4 seconds a lap slower than the leaders. At that pace, there is no way that they're going to be able to stay ahead of the top of this pack, who has enough fuel, and there's 10 cars going way faster.
Ray Massey still leading that bottom line. Go ahead, Alec.
So, sorry, Samart's still clear. He could maybe jump up. Oh, that gimbal gone. Oh, that could be an issue.
That could be a big issue, because that's going to give Adam Baker a run on the bottom. And there they is, right inside one another. Oh, my goodness. How did that not result in a car flipping?
That is almost evolved into a wreck, but they somehow kept it going. And these top two now turning 36 lap seconds. Or 36-second lap times. That's 5 seconds slower. There is no way they're going to be able to make it on fuel and be able to win this race, because right now, 5 seconds taken out of the lead from the front pack, 18 seconds back, and they're going to close up to almost, 12 seconds back by the end of this lap.
I just don't think there's any way possible to save 60 laps of fuel. You know, that fuel run being 51 and then being by yourself for such a long run too. That's that arrow. It's definitely going to bring down that fuel economy And there's no way in my head that the 88 and the 6 will see the checkered flag on this tank.
It would be a miracle, and it would be Jeremiah Vincent or Eric Hutton's first win in a long time if they're able to do it. Vincent won a couple years ago, I believe, at Martinsville. And Eric Hutton won a couple years ago in the Gen 4s at Rockingham. Those being their last 2 wins. Hutton has completely lost touch with Vincent, but the good thing is Vincent has caught the end of a lead pack draft, so he can save maybe a little extra fuel and save some lap time. And Hutton has at least gained 3 seconds or so back of pace while this front pack continues to race hard. But there's no way. I just don't see they're going to be able to. And I think this battle here should be what we keep it on, because it's hot and heavy, and it's probably going to be the race for the win here. Massey, a big push from Samard. Hayes, a big push from Osmer into turn 3. And this pack racing hard as Coley washes up into the outside wall.
It's very interesting to see the teammates get flip-flop here. It's diagonal across for Team VSPEED here. Brody, Hayes, and Chris Samard. And then from the inside to the outside, Ray Massey, Ronnie Osmer typically working together, I believe. That's not what you want to have behind you.
No, Eric Hutton has, I got to think, given up on that possible strategy, because he's going to get past here in about a lap or 2. Jeremiah Vincent probably hoping for a caution because he's picked up the pace and has decided to just tag along with a couple of lap race cars here on the racetrack. Cody Atkins almost up into the outside wall. 10 laps to go for this front pack, and what could be a season-deciding win or wreck. On the outside, it's Hayes and Osmer. On the inside, it's Massey and Samard. Hayes going for 2 wins in a row and his second win of the season. Mayato going for win number 4. On the bottom, everybody on that bottom looking for their first win of the season. Osmer looking for his first one. Eric Hutton down to pit road. He cannot make it on fuel, which makes me believe Jeremiah Vincent has no hope of making it on fuel, as this will now cycle eventually to being the battle for the race lead.
It'll be very interesting if they have enough time to catch up to the backpack.
Osmer! And there goes Keith Mayato with them! Dallas Sullivan gets third! No caution, though! Dallas Sullivan is around, but there's still no caution as the 64 or the 46 sits sideways down the backstretch and gets it going. No caution whatsoever.
So that leaves us with just 6 cars here to take the lead. We got a gap back behind. Oh, my goodness.
Road. But that is Dallas Sullivan back up into the outside wall again, but the caution does not come out. No caution. Dallas Sullivan cannot get that car down to pit road. He is trying his hardest, but he is killed on the left side, and he's finally going to make it. And I cannot believe that there wasn't a caution for that race. And now it's a pair of 4 teammates versus 2 non-teammates. And look at who's finding his way up there. Max Koss up to 5th.
We see him get so, opportunistic at the super speedway tracks. This one fits the 63's driving personality perfectly to a T. Will Max Koss be able to pull it together here, get ahead of those 4 VSPEED cars, and then Ray Massey and take home another super speedway win? We've got 5 laps to tell us.
Could he do it? What new chapter in BTDY will be written here at Atlanta Motor Speedway? Points leader Jeff Wright out of this race, going to get a 19th place finish. Can Chris Samard get his first win of the season? But he's going to have to beat Ray Massey looking for his first win, as well as Brody Hayes, who's trying to get a win to cut that points lead virtually in half. Max Koss trying to get his first points-paying win of his BTDY career. Gemmel in the 6 car, quiet, slow, but steady all night. And he's up here and can't forget what could be the feel-good story. The founder of VSPEED on the bottom is Adam Baker to 47. Contact as Coley sends it 3 wide into turn number 1. And now Gemmel and he's going the racetrack.
There goes Mayato.
And Vincent Weaver sliding around. Do they save it? Yes, they do.
Still no caution. And don't forget about the 6 of Vincent. I think, where's Vincent at right now? He's all alone again, with 4 laps to go with a 9-second gap.
I just don't think he's going to be able to make it on fuel. If he does, what a story that would be. This Ray Massey story would be no more. Now there's a teammate, a VSPEED teammate, going to fall a lap down. Dallas Sullivan is slow around the racetrack. Loveland out of harm's way and lets the lead.
4 drivers here. Oh my.
Adam Baker goes to the outside. 3, now 2.5 laps to go. Hayes fights back on the inside. Massey trying to control the race like he's done all day here in Atlanta. Hayes gets a little bit sideways. Now up on the outside comes Baker. Vincent into pit road. This is the race for the win. 2 laps to go. Chris Simard to the outside. Baker hangs him in the middle. There's contact. There they go. Chris Simard and Adam Baker in the wall. No caution!
No.
Oh no! And there they go! Ray Massey head on into the outside wall! And there's the caution! Big wreck! Gimmel slides, pounds the outside wall! And Ray Massey's hope for a win is over! Ryan Gimmel's car destroyed on the inside wall! And Adam Baker, and it looks like Chris Simard limping off of turn 4 with damage, and Brody Hayes is your leader with what will be a green-white checkered.
Back here on the VSPEED instant replay with the number 6 of Ryan Gimmel, just that contact to the outside wall. A little bit of a checkup there, and then Ray Massey just trying to save it. Just didn't work out. Oh my goodness, what an ending.
Nothing like super speedways in BTDY, and the field coming in, and the top 2 staying out. Hayes is going to come into pit road. Max Cost is going to stay out, and you can see the replay. A hard hit for Ray Massey. And how about these 3 or 4 cars missing them? My goodness. What a race, man. What a race this has been. And
looking at the 47 now as the focal point. Makes that move to the outside. Simard just comes back down. Not a whole lot of damage there for the 47 at least.
No, that. Oh, what a hit. And what a great job shooting the gap there. And this is Eric Hutton going to get the lucky dog. He's going to have to go to the back and get tires. But I need to point out, look at the top 4 right now. All have stayed out. And your leader is Max Cost. His teammate Jace Coley is second, but he is under race review for passing under the red line and could go to the back. And that is going to leave, if I'm not mistaken, Adam Baker in 3rd, Benson Weaver in 4th, and now the first car with tires is Hayes in 5th. But no, I don't. Wow, now Cost is bringing down pit road.
Cost, Baker, and Benson Weaver all down pit road now.
That's going to give Hayes the lead, it's going to give Coley the lead if Coley doesn't come in. This race is getting all wild and crazy here. Osmer is in pit road and getting damage fixed. So is Simard. This race is not over yet as the 2 teammates. This is why I don't know why Max Cost is coming in after staying out. He should have just came in on the first time. I just don't understand that. And Jace Coley, unfortunately, is going to trap Mackey, Loveland, and Barker a couple laps down still. So that's unfortunate for them. And that's going to leave 11 cars on the lead lap. Ronnie Osmer's got his car all repaired. I think Chris Simard's gotten his car all repaired. So, wow. How about this? Is now pace car lights are off, and this here, Logan, is going to be a 2-lap shootout here at Atlanta, and Coley is going to be your leader.
Yeah, Coley not going down back to the back of the field for that passing under that line, but the tire advantage here, because Brody Hayes, Keith Mayato, Jeremiah Vincent, everybody here spent 10 seconds or more. So we've got the 3 behind here with Hayes, Vincent, and Mayato. They're all on fresh tires. Chase Abel's on 2 tires. Eric Hutton, 4 tires with a little bit of damage repair. So you had to think, can the 65 keep it out in front on this 31 lap run compared to the fresh tires, everybody behind him?
And how about Jeremiah Vincent, who was leading at that caution. When it came out, he was getting service to his car, so he jumps up to 4th. But this is going to be wild and crazy. A 2-lap shootout into overtime for race 6 of the chase, and what has been a wild one at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Brody Hayes on the outside. Leader Jace Coley going for his first career win in his rookie season. Green flag is out. We're back underway here with 2 laps to go from Atlanta. Coley gets away, but Hayes has help on the outside.
Vincent all over that back bumper there, and it looks like my auto looking to go to the high line as well. Falling, almost contact with the left rear. Luckily keeps it off. Now my auto goes to the high side here. That's going to be a freight train around the 65 who's going to try to get the side draft, but it's not going to work out. Oh, big move from Vincent to the inside.
Jeremiah Vincent to the bottom, going for his first win of the season. Brody Hayes trying to keep the points lead. He crosses Jeremiah Vincent over. White flag. 1 more lap to go from Atlanta. Here comes my auto to push Vincent up on the outside. Coley now back to the back bumper of Hayes. Vincent up the racetrack. A half a lap to go. Where does Brody Hayes choose to block? Run coming up on the outside. Big push from Vincent. He goes high. He goes high to the outside of Hayes. Side by side into turn number 3. It's going to be one of those classic Atlanta finishes. Hayes comes down to the racetrack. Vincent tries the side draft, but it won't be enough. Brody Hayes goes 2 in a row, and he gets it done at Atlanta as they crash hard into the tri-oval. My auto flips over upside down and barrel rolls up the banking and over Chase Abel. What a race, what a finish, and Brody Hayes chops Jeff Wright's lead in half, and a horrific crash in the tri-oval from Keith Mayato. And Brody Hayes, his 2nd win of the season, and he does it in wild fashion in a horrible wreck down the front stretch.
Wow. That is all I can say is wow. Way to do it in a fashion as well. Brody Hayes taking home another win here. That is incredible for the point standings. Man, good hard racing all the way to that checkered flag.
Great racing, great effort from Brody Hayes, or from Jeremiah Vincent and Brody Hayes. And how about that top 3? Hayes, Vincent, and Coley. And then Keith Bonner. How about, like you said, Chase Abel somehow, some way getting 5th out of that?
That is incredible. But Alec, let's let Brody have his moment here in the VSPEED 180.
Absolutely.
Forget that Quaker State 400. It's the VSPEED 180 here. We'll take a quick commercial break. Be right back with our post-race coverage and interviews with our top 3. We have to talk about that finish.
Oh yeah.
Sailor Tarot Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader. Known as the Nurturing Reader at New Jersey Street Fairs, you can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text 732-314-0777 to schedule your reading today.
And welcome back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway after a wild event in the VSPEED 180. We'll take a look at that last lap before we get into our post-race interviews that saw Brody Hayes end up victorious here. And take a look here as Jeremiah Vincent did a great job getting to his outside, Logan. I thought for a second he might have had it.
Yeah, he had a lot of momentum there, had Keith Mayauto behind. That worried me for the 3 machine, however. You never know if that teammate of the leader is going to work with you, but it seems like Mayauto was content with keeping him right there in that chase. Now, right here is where you see, they start to get side by side. Vincent a little bit loose out of corner number 4, but ultimately they kept the racing clean here. Jace Coley goes down. There it is across the line with Brody Hayes just able to take the lead.
And what a great finish there. And Jeremiah Vincent tried his all. And Jace Coley, even with those old tires, very impressive that he got into got a third place finish out of that. And we'll take a look at our finishing results from that race. And that was a wild green-white checkered. And Brody Hayes ends up victorious here tonight. And I need to point out 2 cautions, but look at the lead changes. 41 green flag lead changes, and that's probably without, all the other metrics included, but at least at the line, 41 lead changes. Brody Hayes victorious from starting in the back. Jeremiah Vincent gets his first podium in second. Jace Coley comes home in third. I think his best finish of his rookie season. And then it's Keith Mayauto fourth. Chase Abel in his second career starts has a 5th and a 10th on his board. A great start to his BTDY career. Max Koss comes home in 6th. Eric Hutton is 7th in his return to BTDY. Ronnie Osmer ends up 8th. Adam Baker is 9th. And Benson Weaver is 10th.
And the rest of our field goes as follows. The 77 of Chris Samard in the 11th position, followed up by the 13 of Jake Mackey. James Loveland falls all the way back to 13th position for the O2 machine, and James Barker follows behind in the 28 and 14th. Ryan Gimmel, after seeing him up in that front pack pretty well the entire time, set the pole on the night, but gets caught up at the very end. The 7 falls back to 15th. Ray Massey, man, what a run that he had all night long. We saw that 23 up at the front of either line at any given moment. But again, just gets wrapped up in the big one at the very end. 16th place for Massey. Dallas Sullivan in the 46 will take home the 17th position, followed up by Cody Adkins in 18th. Jeff Wright with the early exit on the night. Back-to-back weeks for the 48. Not how you want your chase to go. Still will hold the points lead, but it's getting close. It's getting risky for the 48. Last but not least, it'll be Dennis Faircloth in the 80 machine, taking home the 20th position on the night.
It was, and that was the finishing order for tonight's race, and a wild one here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're going to move up to our 3rd place finisher down pit road with Jace Coley. Jace, Alec, and Logan in the VSPEED booth, buddy. You got a copy?
I got you, buddy.
Well, man, a P3 finish. I believe your first podium of the season. Wild one there. You let it just 2 laps there. What more does you maybe need to get the win here coming to the start-finish line?
Well, I got to watch it back to know for sure, but it seemed like the inside coming to that green-white checker just wasn't lined up as well as the top side was. And as soon as we started coming up at 2, I really didn't have any help, and I noticed they were starting to freight train me. I was like, well, my only real hope is the side draft, pin it, and pray. So that's kind of what I did going down to 2, and then I think it was Jeremiah came down in front of me, and I was able to get a little bit of a draft off him, and then, I mean, I gave it everything I absolutely could to try to go for the win, but I will very happily take my first BTDY top 3, and that was a lot of fun. That was a hell of a race.
It was. It looked like a good time, and a great racing between everybody up at the front. All race, slick, slipping and sliding. Next week we go to Bristol. How do you feel about going out there and maybe trying to get a solid run once again here? Maybe backing it up with a top 3 again.
Well, I'll be the first to tell you I'm absolutely horrible at saving tires. Probably potentially the worst in the league. And I know Bristol's probably going to be a lot about tire saving. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm in a hot points battle with Jake Mackey and my teammate Max Koss for that 13th place. So I don't know. We're going to give it all and see what happens, I suppose.
Absolutely. Hey, well, we appreciate your time, Jason. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to here tonight for tonight's race?
Hey, I appreciate it. shoot, I don't even know. Shout out Cody for not screaming at me when I took the apron there, and whoever the guy was I made the pass on, I already forgot his name. He hasn't ran all season, but shout out to him. I'm sorry. That was an overly aggressive move to make it 3 wide into turn 1. Luckily, nobody died. Shout out you guys for an amazing broadcast and a great league. And thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your time, Jace. Congratulations again, and we'll see you next week at Bristol.
Sounds good. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Jace. And that's Jace Coley, third place finisher. Going to move up to our second place finisher here, just a little bit down pit road. Jeremiah Vincent, Alec and Logan in the VSPEED booth, buddy. You got a copy?
Got a copy.
Well, man, you almost got there at the end. You led a bunch of laps. The caution fell perfectly for you to get up there. What more did you maybe need to race that 37 to the line and get him?
I got loose coming off the bottom of 4, coming to the white. So I gifted him the inside there, but I got a good push from the 36 of Keith there on the high side and everything. Got a good run off of 2. I didn't know how clear I was on the inside to get down to his door, so I didn't push it. If I would got down to his door in a 3 a little bit better, I think I would have had to drive off.
For sure, and you did a great job there, running that button number 3 up there. Next week, go to Bristol out in Tennessee. How do you feel about going out there and maybe trying to run this, keep the momentum going for next week?
I'm hoping I can make it. I know I got other things outside of here that may prevent it, but if I can make it, I love racing at Bristol. So hopefully it works out.
Absolutely. Hey, well, we appreciate your time there, Jeremiah. And again, congratulations on what was a great finish and a great race for you. Anybody want to give a shout out here tonight?
The guys I run with, Jeff Wright and Eric Hutton. Good to see him back. And then shout out to my family watching at home. I know they watch it every week. And then just you guys up in the booth do a great job every weekend, week out. And yep.
All right. Hey, well, we appreciate your time, Jeremiah. Again, congratulations on the finish, and we will talk to you and hopefully see you next week out at Bristol.
I hope so. You guys have a good one.
You too. Have a good one, Jeremiah.
Thank you.
And that's Jeremiah Vincent, our second place finisher tonight. I believe Logan has made his way down to victory lane, standing with our winner, Brody Hayes.
Yeah, I've got Brody Hayes down here, back-to-back weeks for the 37. Man, what a finish that was. What did it all come down to? Do you feel like it was a strategy call? Or it looked a lot like it was heavily based on team play at the very end.
Yeah, I mean, all of us VSPEED guys, Adam, Keith, Chris, Ryan, myself, we all worked really well together tonight. Pit strategy wise. At the end, it was kind of more of a free for all. Some had tires, some didn't. Kind of a luck thing. You knew it was gonna get crazy. So I'm just, I'm happy it worked out in my favor. I apologize to Keith. We got put 3 wide going into 1, and I got shuffled to the top, and I was coming back down to regather myself, and I didn't see him coming behind and to try and get underneath me, and I think I shoved him to the apron there and ruined his race there for a minute. Caution came out, and he was able to get back up there, but I do apologize for that. But all in all, it was Atlanta Dega is a fun track, man. Handling, it's reminiscent of old Daytona. You're out there wheeling it, getting everything you can get, trying not to wreck, but, yeah, it was fun.
Wheeling it you were. Started out in 15th, more than right at that 3/4 way through the field, finishing on the top step of the podium for your second week in a row. You're going to close that points gap up just as much as you did last week, too, which I believe you came into that one at 59. This week you came in at I believe it was 42 points. Yeah, so you're going to close that gap up even more, put you right around that 20 points back or so with 2 races to go. How hyped are you to go into this championship race in a couple weeks, with all of this momentum that you've picked up here in the last couple?
Yeah, it's been great. Really hitting my stride here at the end of the year. Good time to start figuring this thing out. It's been a while since I've been what I call competitive in these things. There's so many guys in this league that they're just so good week in and week out. It's hard to find that next level you need to compete for wins. So to do it 2 in a row is, I'm very, very happy to be able to do that. Going to Bristol next week, it'd be real nice to make it 3 in a row and then go into California to have a shot. I just like to give myself a shot, and yeah, I think I can get it done in California. It's a fun track, 5 lanes, pretty wild there too. But yeah, good time of year to start catching fire here. We just got to keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Well, Brody, before you get to go and celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to say thanks to for taking home the win here tonight in the VSPEED 180?
Yeah, thanks to you guys up in the booth as always. This will be another fun one to go back and watch. I know there's a lot of action out there. VSPEED, BTDY, all the admins for putting this on, all our partners, sponsors, everybody. It's always a blast coming out here Tuesday nights. I don't know if she's still watching or if she went to my bed, but I'll give a shout out to my lovely girlfriend for always putting up with this on Tuesday nights. So thanks to her. But we'll go tackle it again next week and see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Brody. We'll see you in Bristol.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Congrats, Brody.
Thank you.
And that's Brody Hayes, our race winner. Thank you, Logan, for that interview. And man, what a wild race there. This points situation's getting kind of tight. I think Jeff Wright still got a very solid gap, but he cannot afford another bad week. He has that happen. We're going to have ourselves a well of a title fight going in to what will be California.
Yeah, this points battle's getting heated up very, very quickly. He is still in a great spot going into it, but the bad luck strain, it needs to end right now. This is the last opportunity for you to have, that type of race. 2 back-to-back 19th place finishes for your points leader with only 2 races to go. Not at all how you want to end the chase out, no matter where you're at, with the points advantage.
Absolutely. You do not want to make mistakes. But for everybody that watched, we appreciate everything that you do for us. We wouldn't be where we are without all of you viewers. And again, thank you to everybody on behalf of Adam Baker, everybody here at BTDY. My name's Alec Martinez. And of course, joining me in the booth tonight, Logan, Third Cal. Logan, thank you so much for being a part of this and everything that we do here. Next week, same time at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, it'll be the Affinity for Gaming 225 under the lights at the Bristol Motor Speedway. We look forward to seeing you there. Until then, have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you from Bristol and Thunder Valley in 1 week's time.